Hi everyone, welcome back to Barn and Soul. This is episode 22, and today we're heading into deeper waters, the ethics of keeping animals. Now, before you click away thinking, oh no, Kendall's about to scold us, that's not what this is. This is me thinking out loud with you, though, about the life that my family has chosen, the contradictions it holds, and the very real, very important questions we face if we're serious about really loving animals. Let's set the stage with some quick hit facts that always make me sit up straighter when I read them. Roughly 70 billion animals are farmed annually for food worldwide, and more than 90% of them are raised in industrial systems, according to FAO 2024. That number makes my jaw drop. Goats can recognize human faces and remember them for over a year. They even develop preferences for people who treat them kindly and smile at them, according to the University of London in 2018. Self-awareness isn't just for humans. Elephants, chimpanzees, whales, and even magpies have passed versions of the mirror test. That means they can recognize themselves, not just another animal staring back. That's the National Geographic 2023. Legal personhood for animals is real. Courts in Argentina, India, and Ecuador have granted animal rights beyond property, shifting how the law views them. Science.org, 2023. A 2021 ASPCA survey found that 69% of Americans agree farm animals deserve some level of legal protection, even if they're used for food or labor. Obviously, we fully agree with that. It should be a higher number than 69%, but okay, those are some big crunchy facts. We're going to break them down in human terms. We love animals, we depend on them, and yet we also confine, control, and consume them. So where does that leave us? Defining care versus control. It's a tough one. What is the difference between caring for animals and controlling them? At Dalby, our animals are safe, fed, genuinely loved. They are not raised for slaughter. In fact, they are mostly all heritage/endangered breeds: goats, hogs, rabbits, sheep. They're on the brink of vanishing if farms like ours don't keep them. But they're still under my rules, our family's rules. We choose who they live with. We decide if they reproduce. We shut the barn door at night, not just to keep predators out, but to keep them in. We trim hooves to prevent pain, but that's still us deciding what happens to their bodies. And that's the contradiction, right? We do it because it's in their best interest, but the line between care and control is thin, and it's worth noticing if it's crossed. And if you're picturing me as this wise, zen animal whisperer, no. I mean, half the time, our family is, the animals run us, okay? They Houdini their way out of their pen sometimes. They need to eat at exactly the same time every day or they're howling. Animals, they're running the show. But we still hold the keys. And that's the responsibility that I'm not shrugging off here. And that brings the question of consent. Can animals consent? Not in the legal human sense, obviously, but that doesn't mean they don't communicate. Animals are constantly telling us what they're okay with and what they're not. Goats nuzzle you if they like you. Geese hiss, maybe, if they don't, or if you make them nervous. Rabbits freeze or hide if they feel unsafe. They're signals, and it's on us to respect them, isn't it? Think of it this way. If a dog hides under the bed when fireworks go off, do we say, oh, too bad? Some do. No. Ideally, we're comforting them. We try to create a safe space. Why? Because we take their signals seriously. So this is where it gets tricky. What about bigger life decisions? No chicken has ever marched up to me and said, "Excuse me, Kendall, I'd prefer a different coop mate." Although, judging by some of the drama in the chicken yard, I'm sure some would love that option. And I suppose if there's actual ganging up and violence happening, they would be getting a different coop mate. But that's not the point. That doesn't mean that their comfort and relationships don't matter. I don't know. Ethical animal care isn't just about achieving perfect consent. It's about maximizing the agency they do have, listening to their signals, protecting them, and remembering just because we can do something doesn't mean we should. And right here, is where I'm calling all of you traveling petting zoo people out. How often are you looking at the animals that you're subjecting to large crowds, terrible weather, uncomfortable atmosphere? You're putting them in a truck, carting them around. Oof, boy, don't get me started on you. That is definitely where consent should be analyzed and considered. If you're hauling your animals around day to day to make money, don't talk to me about it. We will not be friends. Moving on. What responsibility really looks like. So let's zoom in on the word responsibility. Feeding and sheltering animals is the absolute bare minimum baseline, but ethical care goes further. It means knowing their species needs and their quirks as individual beings. Example, 2 goats, same breed, same age. One is a fearless escape artist. The other is shy, nervous, and needs her quiet space. Ethical care means managing both personalities, not just the average goat. I'll go so far as to say ethical care means recognizing that they have personalities and that they have different needs and that one size does not fit all. This also means thinking about end of life. It's the hardest part. It's the worst part. Nobody is excited to deal with this part. Animals get old. They get sick. And sometimes you have to make choices no one wants to make. But if you truly see them as family, you face those moments with them with love and dignity. And sometimes ethical care means saying no before you even start. I can't tell you how many times people ask me if they should get chickens just for fun. And I always tell them chickens live 6, 8, 10 years. That could be a decade of food, vet care, predator protection, and coop cleaning. Do you want them? Let's talk. At Dalby, we've learned that good intentions aren't enough. You need infrastructure, time, money, at least enough to keep it going, right? Keep them fed and cared for. But most importantly, you need emotional bandwidth because animals are not props for Instagram. They are not a petting zoo that should make you money. They're not seasonal hobbies. These are living beings who do, in fact, deserve consistency, safety, and affection. Goodness, why is that so much to ask? All right, that got heated real quick. It gets me emotional because honestly, most people who own animals, farm animals in particular, shouldn't have them. I could name on one hand in less than 5 minutes people who should not be keeping animals or running businesses with them. But unfortunately, they exist, and the protections in place don't necessarily get there. They don't reach everybody that should be protected. But while we're at it, quick detour into the wider world because it is fascinating. In 2015, Sandra, the orangutan in Argentina, was granted legal personhood. Not just moved to a nicer zoo, but actually literally recognized in court as someone, not something. She now lives in a sanctuary where her social and emotional needs matter. Look, conceptually, I understand. It's crazy that it has to get to that point. Anyway, then there's the case of Trouble the Maltese. Yes, the little white fluff ball who inherited $12 million from hotel heiress Leona Helmsley. Imagine going from lapdog to millionaire overnight. I am genuinely curious how that even works. How does that work? The dog, whatever. And over in India, entire ecosystems, rivers, forests, and yes, animals like a dolphin, in fact, have been granted legal rights, not because they can walk into court, but because humans decided they deserve protection at the highest level. And yeah, these cases sound extreme, but they are signs of a cultural shift, and one I could sort of get on board with. We're slowly moving from animals are property to animals are beings, and for me that does change everything. We just need to be careful about the precedents we're setting and how we're doing it. All right, almost done. Just gotta get real. Dalby is not perfect. We do our best, but there are nights when my mom is on the phone or in the barn with vets at 2 a.m. or scrambling to cover unexpected bills. Or, yeah, I'm second guessing most decisions I make when it comes to the farm because I'm learning as I go. We always have been. This entire family since 1861. It's been a learn as we go type of deal. We don't keep animals because they earn their keep. The geese aren't here to entertain you. The goats aren't here to generate revenue. They'd be here whether or not I had toddler programs, birthday parties. They'd be here anyway. And they're here because they matter and because they belong. And because not enough people see it that way. Here's the tension though, right? Love doesn't buy hay. Compassion doesn't cover medical bills. And these disappearing heritage breeds often come with extra needs. So every decision is a balancing act between our hearts and our actual resources. Our pride often gets in the way from me literally asking you to buy stuff from us. I don't like putting my hand out. It feels weird, but we try to offer sort of a mutually beneficial service. Come to the farm, you help us buy food that month. You know what I'm saying? And we will keep showing up, and we hope you will keep showing up because the mission is bigger than us. It is about preserving history, protecting biodiversity, and proving that animals are not disposable. Ugh. That weight, it's heavy and it's lonely, and too many people look at me like I'm nuts, and it's a shame. It doesn't stop me, and it never will, but it's a shame. This is the most meaningful work I've ever known. So what do we take away from this? Keeping animals is not just chores and feed buckets. It is philosophy, it's responsibility, and it's asking yourself every single day, am I doing right by them? Are we giving them a life worth living, or just a life that's convenient for us? Are we treating them as companions and kin, or as background props in our story? And you don't need to have perfect answers, and you won't, but asking the questions is where the growth starts. For me, the farm is my reminder to stay humble, to listen more than I talk, to see the ordinary, like a goat head-butting a fence or a rabbit twitching their nose, as extraordinary. And if you've stuck with me through this episode, here's my hope, that you leave thinking a little differently about the animals in your life, whether they're pets, farm animals, or the wildlife that surrounds you outside that window. Until next time, take care. Thank you for listening. I get a little riled up sometimes, but it's just because I care. Thank you. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, leave a comment, maybe a question I can answer in a future episode. subscribe to the channel, you know the whole deal. And of course, you can visit dalbyfarm.com. We do ship nationwide. Our country store has something for everybody. So I hope, and please know that all purchases, I believe it's at least 50% of each and every purchase goes directly back to the care and upkeep of this family farm. So we thank you very much. I hope this finds you well, and we'll see you next time. Oh, and don't forget to appreciate the rare and wonderful things in life.